Hi everybody, Devin with rmwraps here. Today we're going to be experimenting with a new type of wrap, at least for our company. We're going to be wrapping one of these bad boys. I know everybody can't get a hold of these right now, but some people have them. So we actually got a brand new cut template for this thing that's supposed to be like dead on exact. So we've got the various pieces here. So you're going to get everything to wrap pretty much the whole body of this thing except for the back where you're going to put your power and your video and everything. So either way, if you display your PlayStation like that on your console, or if you have it in there like that guy, the wrap will cover everything you see kind of sitting on the couch. So this is actually our first time filming one of these, so we're going to see how good it goes. We like to experiment with stuff and make sure it's actually doable before just sending it out to somebody who's never played with vinyl before. So I'm actually going to show you. Normally with all of our orders, we send out a knife and a squeegee. We don't think you're going to need the knife. Everything should be pretty darn exact on this, but just kind of showing off the tools. So I'm actually going to use everything that you would get in the kit. So one of our in-house made squeegees, we use a Glowforge to kind of cut these, and Randy designed these up, and the little arrows there on the squeegee actually show you the 3M kind of recommended angle when you're applying a sticker. So if I was going from left to right here, you'd actually, well, he's got it designed for right-handers. I'm a weirdo, I'm a lefty, but what you do is you kind of, as you're working one way, you just follow the arrow, and then you can go back the other way, and that's the way you'd work over with a little bit of overlap and kind of medium pressure, and that helps you minimize the air bubbles in vinyl. We work with a 3M certified material. It's called IJ35C. It's got air release channels in it. So what happens if you get a little bubble right in the middle, you got it all perfect, you don't want to try to peel it back up and risk stretching the vinyl or anything, you'll actually be able to just massage that bubble out with your thumb, and the bubble should disappear. We've worked with this material for gosh,
8 years.
8 years since founding the company, and there's a reason we stick with it. It's because it works really well. But anyway, other than a squeegee, I've got a pair of scissors here just for cutting the extra backer material away. As you'll see, it's two layers. You got the sticker itself, and then the backer material that you'll throw away when you're done. So I've got a pair of scissors here just to kind of cut bits of it away in case it gets in my way as we wrap. And then I've got some watered down rubbing alcohol here. It's probably down to what, probably 20 or 30%?
Roughly, yeah.
Roughly. It doesn't super matter. It's just we want something to help get the grease, the fingerprints, and everything off the surface, any dust, grime, what have you. That way our sticker adheres as good as possible. You can also use this stuff. We've learned through the pandemic that this stuff works really well. It doesn't leave a residue as you clean. We're not sure Windex. I wouldn't go with Windex, but this spray stuff specifically for car glass does really well. Basically, you just want to use something that's not going to eat your plastic, something that's not going to leave any kind of greasy residue after it's cleaned. You just want to get everything off there. You got a nice clean surface. That way your vinyl's going to stick and stay stuck. So I'm actually going to go, you'll see me using it off and on. I'm going to do one surface at a time because this thing's pretty hefty, is that I'm moving it around. I'm putting oils back on it. So I'm going to clean the surface, wrap the surface, go to the next one, clean the surface, wrap the surface. So anyways, I think that covers us. I'm going to throw this thing on the stand and do the easy side first, and that's the one we're going to recommend to do first. This is the flattest surface on a PlayStation 5. So this will give you the best practice with getting used to how the vinyl works, how taking the backer off works, get used to using the squeegee and everything, and then we'll show you how to do, this is kind of the worst case scenario here, a complex curve like that. But the wrap should be kind of built to alleviate those, just in case we have any issues with rippling, wrinkling in the vinyl. You can have a hairdryer around. Typically you could use a heat gun if you've got a heat gun from Lowe's or Home Depot or something like that. Those are just a little bit better at spot heating and getting the vinyl up to temperature faster, but we're just going to show that most people don't have a heat gun laying around in their house. They've got one of these things, so I'm going to actually work with one of these and show you that it's totally possible to help relax the vinyl, make your install a little bit easier on that guy. Otherwise, I think we're good to start. So I'm going to get the stand popped on it. Make sure I'm squared up in the camera over here. Maybe I'll get my hair dryer out of the way for a minute. Okay, there we go on our second camera here. Good enough. So first thing I'm going to do, you don't have to soak this thing. You just want to get your cloth damp, and just anywhere that your vinyl is going to be stuck, get it nice and wiped down. And the reason we go to it's just watered down rubbing alcohol is because you can, obviously stretch your rubbing alcohol longer. You don't need to go to 90 or 95%. And the alcohol just helps the water kind of evaporate faster. So I'm just going to give it a really good rub down, get all the way around the edges. Just make sure I'm not leaving anything that was already on there behind. And, this is not the sturdiest stand out there. I'm kind of surprised. I haven't seen a PS5 before, and this stand is, at least for putting it horizontal, it's kind of surprising to me. It's not more secure, but I guess once it's in place, you're not moving it around too much. So anyway, there's that. That's all it takes. And if you used a lot of alcohol and if you can see that it's wet, wipe it off, let it dry, obviously. But I didn't use too much, so it's nice and clean. So I'm gonna grab my first graphic here. And like I said, it's got 2 layers to it. Basically, you got your sticker and you got the thing that protects the sticker until you get ready to apply it. So what I'm gonna do is actually peel this back a few inches. I'm gonna get past that logo, just like that. I'm actually gonna fold this down. Just like that. So you got this little hangy thing. Okay. So I've got that folded down. And then what I'm gonna do is just bring it over and start lining it up. So luckily you've got this logo here that helps you kind of register it. And then I'll come over here and check. I'm a little stuck, and you can lift this back up. Big thing is you just don't want to tug on it super hard because this vinyl, it is it's vinyl. It's kind of petroleum based, so it will stretch. It's a little rubbery, and I'm just going to try to make sure that I get as squared up to that corner as I can. I come back over here, and the adhesive on this acrylic based adhesive is basically pressure activated, so it'll only fully bond when you actually give it pressure. So that's what I'm going to do right here, just to get it started with my fingers. And I'm just going to walk it. I've got a bubble right here. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but I'm just going to walk my thumb away to that spot and come back over here. And once I've got a good seat on it, and I make sure I press down all these little bits. Oh, and make sure you get all these little things inside that make the PlayStation logo pressed down nice and firm. From here, I can flip back and start to peel this material away. And it's a good idea to do this in kind of chunks. So as you can see, maybe on this camera over here, it's not quite framed up right, but I'm not peeling it all the way off. I'm peeling it back to where I can hold the backer and the sticker together. And that helps keep it a little more rigid. This is a trick we use out in the world when we're doing, vinyl glass installations and stuff. Because if I took that whole backer off right now and I accidentally dropped it, say it slipped out of my fingers, and it sticks, you just trash a piece of vinyl. So this helps just put tension on it, keep it up off the surface until you're ready to stick it. So now you'll notice with the curve of this PlayStation, I've got a little bit of a hump right here. So I'm just gonna start in the middle and just work my way out. I'm doing overlaps. I'm not pressing super hard, but I've got a bit of pressure to it just to activate that adhesive. I'm just going to work my way out. I'm making sure that I'm pressing towards that leading edge, but mostly in the middle of the squeegee. If you're pressing too hard one way or the other, you'll think you're putting pressure down, but you're actually allowing air bubbles in. So it's good to be somewhere in the middle here with your thumb and just pressing down just a little bit. So as I get closer to that backer, I'll come out here, take a little bit more off of it, but I still leave that backer on as long as I can, just because it gives you something rigid to hold on to. I'm just going to keep working my way all the way down the body. And then right at that last bit, when it's not really feasible to keep that on anymore, I'll peel the last of that off. That goes away. And then just finish up. And then it's a good idea. So this is just a hair long, but that's okay. This material does curve a little bit, so I'm just running my thumb along that bottom edge there to kind of suck that vinyl in so it doesn't have kind of something that can be picked up with a fingernail or scraping along a surface later. So there is one side done. Actually nice and easy. So for our next guy, I'm taking the stand off. It's gonna be a little wobbly. I wonder actually if you could mount this thing upside down. We're gonna do a little experiment. I think the curve goes the opposite way. It does, so you can't use the stand going the other way, but that's okay. So you notice it's just a little wobbly, but not too bad. So I'm gonna go back, first thing, alcohol and water. Just a little bit on the rag. And I'm just gonna give it a good scrub down. If you can see marks, if you can see fingerprints, if you can see anything on the surface, it's gotta come off. It's just going to compromise your wrap, and it's not gonna last as long if you don't get all that off there. So making sure I'm getting this end cap. This piece right here is also going right there, so you wanna make sure all the surfaces that are getting wrapped, you get it. And in fact, I'm actually gonna go kind of stick my finger in the rag there and get a little bit more alcohol on it. And I'm gonna get inside that the disc opening right there. And then go to a dry spot on my rag, get any alcohol I dripped, get inside those crevices. I'm getting the bottom and the top, just making sure I get everything. Especially right there, I'm assuming that's gonna be kind of a high traffic area as you get discs in and out. So you wanna make sure, especially if you've had your PlayStation for a while, really get in there, get everything off of it. So give it a wipe down, make sure any dust is off of it. We should be good. Make sure I'm squared up here in this other shot. Okay. So we're just gonna do the same exact thing, and the easiest spot to start on this guy is gonna be this leading edge. So I'm gonna take my backer material, get it started. Probably 2 or 3 inches, just enough so you can get a real good idea that you're square on the bottom there. So I've got that flap. I'm gonna lay my graphic down here. And see if I do that, and that little bit of tack's making it a little difficult to kind of lift it up. It's not bad, just lift it back up. Try to make sure I'm not in my own way here. Try to make sure I can see. I'm gonna land square right there. Oh, and see, I don't know if you can see that, but I actually, with the slack that was in the vinyl, I left a funny little wrinkle. So I'm actually just gonna go over here, lift it up, make sure I don't lift all the way off because I know I like that corner where it landed. And then just come back over, run a finger, and just light pressure at first to make sure I like where I'm at, and then run it back, make sure I'm good. Then I just go back over it a couple times, make sure I'm pushing more and more each time. I've got a really good starting spot right there. So back to my squeegee, I'm gonna come up underneath and pull some of that backer away. Still holding it, kind of, basically, it ends up being about half of the material, just so these two end up at the same spot and you can hold both with one hand. And then what I do is hold with this hand, pull on the graphic just a little bit with this hand, and then if you can actually get a camera shot right around here, Andy, I put my hand against what I'm wrapping, so I'm pulling with these fingers and pushing with this finger, and it keeps everything stable. Because if I pull too hard like this, it likes to slide. But if I'm pushing against it, it allows me to tension against the whatever I'm wrapping itself. So kind of slide back in camera shot here. And then same thing, this curve, just making sure I've got good, no major wrinkles. I'm just working it out, and then I'll go back to the squeegee and kind of just follow that body curve. So the body here with the disc drive version has a bit of a hump right here. And basically what we're gonna do is work up till we hit that spot. I might go back to using my hand just because the squeegee's not flexible enough. But the main thing is with a curved surface, whether it's curved this way, curved that way, whatever, is you work from the center out. And then the other thing we're going to hit is, if you actually want to come around here and we'll show this, is I'm basically going to work up to here and ignore this part for right now. We're actually going to hit that separate. I want to get the bulk of the body wrapped, and we'll come back to this later, and I suspect that's where I'm going to need that hair dryer. But basically, I'm just keeping it as flat as possible, as smooth as possible, and you can start to see where that edge is, and I'm just going to ignore that, and I'm just going to work all the way down the length of the body here. And the graphic that the person who was so generous to allow us to borrow their PlayStation, he wanted this rust, so it might make it a little hard to see that hump right there in the graphic just because there's so much going on. But you're basically focusing on body, and you work your wrinkles, if you have any, out towards the edges. Luckily, this even with the compound curves, it's not fighting me too much. And then I'll get towards the edge, take that off. Little wrinkle right there. Oh, so I accidentally just pressed down too hard and got a wrinkle. What you can do is just peel it up, put a little bit of tension on it, and then go back, and what you do is you chase wrinkles out of vinyl. So you go perpendicular to the wrinkle and you just press it right out. And then I go back with a finger because it's hard to get squeegees spread pressure out just by the function of how they work. So when I need pressure on a specific spot, I will actually just go straight to my finger or my thumb and work that out, and then it disappears. I'm just going to finish chasing this vinyl towards the edge. Then same thing, this is a hair long, so I'm just going to, with my thumb, like I'm folding a piece of paper around a corner, around an edge, just go like that. Really get it pressed in there. And that acrylic adhesive will hold around that edge just fine. So now, here's probably the hardest part of the whole wrap. We're going to start at the shallow part of the curve, and we're going to work this way. And you notice there's a couple relief slits. You want to be careful with this because of how much little material is holding that right there. I just going to gently tack it there just to make sure it doesn't run away on us or get torn off or anything. I'm going to start here and work my way all the way to this. Then I will leave that still off, work my way here, come down to this, and then finally come back and join these two up. And we're going to see, for something like this, it's totally best just to use your finger and just work that material down. I'm going to see if I can get it doing it without... So it's starting to bunch here. I'm actually going to lift this back up and give myself a little bit of slack so that floats up. I'm going to just work towards that center of that compound curve there. Just chase those wrinkles out. And it actually, even without heat, went down pretty darn good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this guy, and I'm actually going to start in the middle of this flap and work towards this crease just because I want to try to push those two, that slit together flush. Instead of having it open, I'm going to try to do that with it. So I'll actually come over here and try to leave it on camera. And I'm just working sideways. I might have to get some heat for that. I'm going to actually lift this all the way up out of my way so I can just take a little bit of the tension out of this vinyl. Okay, and actually, if you look right there, there's just the tiniest hint that we lined it up in. Oh, yep, you can just see it on the camera there, but it's actually, and you can run a fingernail over that and make the two sit flush with each other. And then I'll come back over here, give myself stop this thing from wobbling so much, and just work those wrinkles down. Oh. And if that happens to you where you get a little bit too hard of a crease, you can always pull back up on it. Just don't pull too much. Don't pull too hard, just because like I said, this vinyl can stretch. And once it's stretched, it's a little bit harder to get it to unstretch. Heat can help it a bit, but I'm just very gently walking these wrinkles out towards the edge. I'm gonna have one fight me right there. Of course I am. Yeah, I think, yeah, we're going to just add a little bit of heat to it. So, highest heat setting you can on your hair dryer. Probably, there we go, go low. Get it nice and hot. And Randy will actually kind of zoom in and show you what this vinyl looks like as it gets hot, how it relaxes. It's going to take a little bit longer with the hair dryer, but so then what you can do is just go a little bit back up. And now when you chase those wrinkles down, as long as it stays a little bit warm, those wrinkles will just disappear. So I'm just gonna keep working my way down here. You obviously won't have to deal with this if you've got the download only version of the PlayStation, the one without the disk drive, because this side will just be a mirror of the other one. But if you've got the disk drive version, this is gonna be a little bit of a chore, but it's actually not too bad at all. And big thing is I've got just that hair of vinyl there. I'm just gonna really go back over this. You'll be able to feel any wrinkles, any bubbles that didn't quite get laid down. And I'm just gonna run my finger up just a hair inside of that. And then come back down here. Get that pressed in. Chase that wrinkle into the crease. Again, make sure if you've got just a hair of vinyl sticking up over that edge, you just work it in. And then finally, we've got this guy. And I think I'll just one more time let this relax. Okay, and then the big thing is you actually want to push this flush. So I actually had to pull on that just a little bit to work it into there. And I got it as close as I could by lining it up, and then I'm pushing with my thumb, pushing those two pieces flush with each other. Okay, and then I'm gonna come back along here, work on my vinyl, make sure I've got a nice bead on this edge, and then work my way into the CD drive. And that's where you go back to your squeegee, because that can get into the crease a little bit better than your hands. There you have it. One more side done, and it's all downhill from there. Actually, throw it on that camera there. There's that guy. There's side number 2. And then all we got left, oh, actually we have one more piece on that side, don't we? We've got that end cap. Since I've been moving it around, I'm just gonna, real quick, give it a nice little clean. And then same thing on this guy, is I'm going to peel it back part way. Give myself a little crease. And then I'm actually going to, on the edge of a table here, since I can get down in front of it. The lighting might be a little hard to see that there, but I'm actually going to work on it like this. See, and I like the top corner, but I don't like the bottom for whatever reason. You can just pop it back up. And making sure this little tag goes down around the corner. Then I'm actually just going to take this all off because it's easy enough, a small enough piece of vinyl. And it allows me to kind of hold this up a little bit away from the material, and then just with a little bit of tension from my right hand, I can walk this in and make sure I'm staying nice and flush up here. I can press down what I've already kind of got lined up. Oh, I'm a little off right there. And then just make sure everywhere gets pressed down nice and firm so that acrylic adhesive bonds. And she's stuck. So if she's sitting on your table, you can get that side piece there. Okay, so we got rid of that guy. Next, we've got the front faceplate, I guess you would call it. Front and top is obviously all one piece. We've even got a piece of vinyl there for the bottom in case it is sitting on your table and you can see that spot right there. So I think it's actually going to be easier to wrap this with these faceplates off. So these actually aren't that bad to get off. I was shocked. I expected screws or something, but they actually just take tension. So I don't know if the camera can show in there those two little round notches. Okay, so you have to lift up high enough for those to kind of pop out of their little latching spots, and then it pops right off. So it comes towards the bottom of the unit. So if your CD drive is there, that's the bottom. You lift up and slide towards the bottom. And it'll actually show. It's got all these little guide nubbins, and those are the two things that actually hold it in place from popping out. So that's why you lift up. If it's here on the unit, you lift up on that corner where those are, slide away. So I'll put that off to the side. I'll do the same thing on the other side here. And I believe the two circles are right up here by the PlayStation logo. So I'm gonna pull up and away. There they are. And that's how that guy comes off. While we have this off, we actually, right here, they actually have molded into the body of the PlayStation a kind of a spot for a sticker, if you will. So we thought it'd be fun, especially if we have other designs in the future that are bright colors, and you don't want just that PlayStation logo being black. So we actually have cut a small sticker for going in there. So what I'm gonna do, again, anytime you're putting a sticker somewhere, it's a good idea to clean where it's going. So I'm just going to make sure I get all the fingerprints off of it. I'm gonna go back and just take some of that alcohol off with a dry spot on my rag, just so it's nice and clean. I'll actually go right there for that camera. This one, it's such a small sticker, you'll see, I don't know if we can pick up the cut lines there in our file, but basically if you bend the material back, you can see the material start to give way, and I'm just going to peel it back, get that guy right there. Come in here. Oh, looks like I can make it a little bit bigger on future prints. Just put that guy in there, and we'll see what that looks like when we put that final side piece on. So anyway, back to what we were here for, the face plate. Again, alcohol and water, just wiping down that plastic, getting rid of any fingerprints, any oils. And this piece actually goes all the way around to that kind of mold line right there. So I'm gonna make sure I get that guy too. Okay, and then this one, it's a big old long sticker. I'm actually going to, the PlayStation, whoops, so right there. The most important thing lining up is going to be your USBs, your power and eject buttons. So I'm actually going to start on this end, and I'm going to peel that backer all the way back here to make sure I get those seated in the right spot, and I'll work my way around to the other end. So, I'll actually show you here. Going a little bit past that, just because the fold in the paper can kind of bump the vinyl up a little bit. But so there's that guy. I'm just going to visually line this up. Oh, and I'm a little off. I'm actually going to go farther than, well, there we go. It's easier to tell on the USB ports over here, so I'm actually going to tack right next to that USB port and then square up to these buttons. And when I'm happy with it, just press it all down. You can, I've got a little bit excess material here, so just lift it back up. Follow that curve and make sure all the way down to that body seam the vinyl's nice and seated. And again, this is probably easier with your fingers than with the squeegee, just because of how big the squeegee is. Then I'm going to pull some of that backer material away, and right before it starts to curve, make sure I'm still straight with this thing, and it looks like I'm a little off. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to stand it up just so I can stay in the light, and it's easier than trying to work on the side of something. So there's that. I just took the rest of the backer off. I'm actually a little off still, so I'm going to back it up a little bit. You just enough tension to get it to unstick. You don't want to go any more than that because it has the potential to stretch the vinyl. And what I'm actually doing here is using my fingers here to feel the edge of the body and kind of use my fingers as guides. So what I had to do actually just then was bend it this way. I was just a hair off on the alignment. Oh, I got a couple air bubbles I can work out. So you'll notice that wrinkle there, and what you can actually do, like I said, you always just chase wrinkles out of vinyl. So whatever direction they go, you kind of push directly towards them. And you can chase them out like that. And I'm just going to keep using my fingers to line this up. And then I'm not going to go too far, just because the farther you go without pressing your vinyl down, the more likely you are to get air bubbles, like I just had a few right here. But luckily, with enough pressure, they just pop right out. And then I'm just going to keep working this vinyl all the way up along. Oh, and I'm a little off, so I'm going to back it up a little bit. All the way around the back. And then just all over it. It's good to kind of get at a funny angle, you know, flashlight off your phone, whatever, just to get different light sources bouncing. The matte sheen does make it a little bit harder to see bubbles than if it were gloss. So just make sure you kind of go all over that surface, make sure you get any air bubbles out. So there's that guy, and I think we have one piece left. That's going to be that bottom plate right there. I'm thinking, I guess it doesn't really matter which way I go about it. So I'm just going to, again, work off the edge of a table. Just a little bit easier that way. Get a little bit more alcohol and water. Give that a rub. Get everything off of it. Make sure when you've got your other piece of vinyl already stuck here that that it actually is really stuck all the way down there. Because last thing you want is a little bit sticking up and you go like this and you start lifting up and putting dirt and gunk and whatever on your sticker. So make sure that's nice and pressed into that seam. You sit here and clean all this. I'm gonna go to the dry spot on my rag, just take any extra moisture off. And then this one, what do you think? I think that's probably just easiest to do in one shot, because what you want to line up is in the middle. So I'm gonna be adventurous. Big thing is recognizing that these vents, the screw hole for the stand, aren't centered. So you'll notice there's a lot more vinyl on one side of it than the other, so make sure you're not twisted. Also, the curve of the body helps you identify what side you're on, but I'm just going to kind of go right in the middle there, and I'm eyeballing the vents, that screw hole, and also the top line up here of the body of the PlayStation. I'm just a hair off, and also actually I'm going to use that top right corner to line myself up with that other sticker, and from there I can line those two up like so. Then come over here, make sure I'm kind of vertically with these vent holes, and then just start at one end, work my way over to the other. Make sure all this is pressed down. getting a little bit of a wrinkle there, so I'll just back it up, take the tension out, or take the slack out rather. Make sure it softly goes, and then again, I'm going to go across any corner seams or anything like that. You want to make sure you press. The edge is where vinyl fails first, so that's where you want to make sure, if anything, you know, bubbles in the middle aren't ideal just from a visually pleasing spot, but when vinyl starts to peel, it always starts to peel at the corners, so that's where you want to make sure you definitely got a good seal. And then once I'm all good there, just work it around the back and make sure that's tucked in. Looks like I need to make a little bit of adjustment to that file, just a hair long right there, but it won't interfere with the power cord or anything. All right, then got to put it back together. So, PlayStation logo side, there's our little logo sticker there. These things actually feed themselves back in surprisingly well. You just have to kind of get them in the general neighborhood of where they're going to go, and you'll feel it slide into place. And then all you got to do, give it a little push on the bottom and a pop on the top. All I did was kind of grab right here and push forward, push it that way, and squeeze the PlayStation, and you'll hear it pop into place. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. And you would think, even with that shape, it would fight you, but it actually doesn't. It just kind of, when you find the right spot, it slides into place, just like that. And then same thing, I'm going to push with both hands and just give it a pop. And there she is. I guess we can put it on the stand here. There it is, guys. One completely wrapped PlayStation 5. If you'd like to get something like this for yourself, we're in the middle of a website rebuild right now, but they should be up there soon. In the meantime, you can contact us, rmwraps@gmail.com. You can call Randy, 208-696-1180. Or, like I said, on our website, rmwraps.com. We've got contact forms all over the place on there, so you should be able to find one, punch us an email, say, hey, I want one. You can also check out chest freezer wraps, mini fridge wraps, refrigerator wraps. We're doing tables, we're doing doors, we're doing basically everything short of cars. If you want to wrap it, we've got a video on how to do it. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.